and warm wishes for Dussehra. So this beautiful festival where we celebrate the victory of good, that is Dharma, over that which is Adharma, often referred to as good over evil. Now, how does one understand that? In the morning today, when I opened the newspaper, it had many supplements. And I opened the one which generally has news about the film industry and light-hearted news. And then I got the impression from looking at that newspaper, which was very thick, very colorful, full of advertisements, that the way to celebrate is through buying a house, wearing good clothes, cooking something wonderful to eat, and being with friends and family. So this, of course, can be one of the ways in which we celebrate a festival. But this festival, which is Dussehra, which is when Bhagavan Ram destroyed Ravana, is much more than all of this. Of course, we are all entitled to our ways of celebration, but the main thing about this festival is to understand what it is that is truly good, that which endures, that which lasts a little longer than that which is perishable, such as a leaking house or objects that you need to keep renewing, and so on and so forth. And so I want to talk about what is it that makes us feel good. And I've titled my talk the A to Z, or the A to Z of feeling good. And when we look at what it is that we mean when we say feeling good, well, in the Sanatana Dharma tradition, we recognize that we feel good by doing good. In other words, I'm talking about Dharma. So let's start with the A to Z. This is not going to be A for apple, B for ball, but little more than that, of course. So drawing from the richness of Sanatana Dharma, that is also known as Hinduism, A is for Ananda. Ananda, the fullness, the happiness that you are, and that is what we seek in all of our experiences. But all of our experiences, whether external or whether internal, they start in time and they end in time. Still, it's quite good. And the Ananda that is limitless is really one's own nature, and that can be understood by living a life of ahimsa. Ahimsa is a very important quality of Dharma. So Dharma, as we understand, is a universal framework of laws and principles that uphold society, protect society, and help society to move forward. So ahimsa, the avoidance of hurting someone. In other words, loving kindness with your thoughts, your words, with your deeds, contributes to you feeling happy, the others feeling happy. Of course, so I have looked at A for Ananda and A for Ahimsa. Now, the Ananda, the limitless Ananda, that is the fullness that you are, how will you know that? Well, if you discover that you are B, and that's B for Brahman. B for Brahman, so Brahman is the limitless being, that which is the basis of all forms, that which the highest teachings of Vedanta refer to, and that which is you. Brahman, with respect to the world, also gets another name called Bhagavan. So Bhagavan, or we could say, refers to God, but much more than God. So all the laws of nature are presided over by an intelligent being, and that being, who is in the form of the material that pervades this entire world and the intelligence by which all these different things function, is Bhagavan. And so when you, the individual, connects with Bhagavan, there is no way but you will feel good. And how do you connect? Well, you get to know a little bit more about Bhagavan, and you see more and more that Bhagavan pervades you. So how shall we go about this? Well, see for choices. The Bhagavad Gita, in its very famous shloka, Karmani eva adhikaraha te, that we truly have choices with respect to our karma. We try to overstretch our limit, and we want to control everyone around us at situations that we all know that that's not quite possible. So recognizing that I have choices in every given situation makes me a contributor, not the controller, because I can always be a contributor by the choices I make, right from the kind of clothes I wear to the kind of activities I decide to invest my time, effort, energy in, to the choices in the relationships with which I engage, to so many situations. So the choices that I make, I always have the freedom, and at best I'm a contributor but not the controller. So this is very important because it makes us very responsible as people. You know, it helps us to move away from the zone of feeling helpless and feeling like there is no choice, I don't know what to do, etc., etc. But how do I know how to make the right choices? And that is D for Dharma. So Dharma, this universal framework of values which is in everyone's heart. So if Dharma was just a religious mandate that you should do the right thing, you should be honest, and you should help others and so on, then it would be a thing that we will all rebel against. But what really makes us happy, what really makes us feel good, is when we embody these qualities of compassion, of justice, of kindness, of achievement, of productivity, of contribution. We look up to people who embody these qualities, and we try to also live up to these qualities in our relationships. And while Dharma has many, many meanings, I'm choosing to focus on this universal framework of principles and values that are very, very dear to us. Even a small child, if her doll falls down, she's going to wipe away the doll's tears. Let's say the child is 2 years old, and if the language is developed by then, she'll say, don't cry. Now, where did she learn this empathy? She learned it because it's there in her heart. She knows that when I fall down, I get hurt, I cry, and so if the doll falls down, then of course the doll will cry. So this Dharma that is present in the human heart is a great blessing of Bhagavan, and it is really his manifestation. And so therefore, how does Dharma really percolate in our lives? Because it is in the form of our duty, our sacred responsibilities towards different factors, different sets of relationships that we are all related to. We have received tremendously, and we've also given, but we have received far more than what we have given. So the people in our lives, so right from family to strangers, to the community, to the neighborhood, to your farmer, to the vendor, to the vegetable vendor, to the vendors of services, etc., etc. So many people are contributing to you, and so therefore a part of my dharma is to contribute to them in whichever way possible. Then of course, taking care of plants, animals, the environment is a part of my dharma. Also, the traditions, the genes, okay, genes, not the ones that you wear, we have inherited from our ancestors, and we perhaps may have also inherited wealth and definitely blessings, and so we contribute to them. We do our sacred duty by making offerings to them, by remembering them, by instituting things in their names and so on. Then we also have a relationship to the gurus and teachers of our lives. So the ones who have blessed us with anything and everything that we know. Even if you think, well, Google can tell me, I don't need a teacher. Well, there was somebody who had the knowledge who put it up there. Because Google is just a search engine, right? But, of course, it's expanded to much more. And the fifth one is devatas, the deities that are presiding over the different phenomena in our lives. So our dharma is our duty towards the people in our lives, manushyaha, towards the environment, bhutaha, towards pitras, our ancestors, towards our gurus, teachers, and towards the different deities, devatas. And the moment you contribute, you feel good. You cannot avoid it. And by this act of contribution, whatever you have or whoever you are, when you do that, when you extend of yourself, we go through a lot of emotions, and E is for emotions. Abhinavagupta, in his commentary on Natya Shastra, talks about an evolved person as Suhridayaha. Suhridayaha is the one who is capable of experiencing all kinds of emotions. And there is no emotion that can need to be rejected. There is no emotion that we need to hold on. So right from love, excitement, surprise, laughter, hasya, even fear, disgust, all what we refer to as rasas, which are much more than emotions. There's a physiological component to it, and it also evokes a certain reaction in the other. So feeling good is about going through all emotions and not rejecting anything, because if we start to create a dam towards some emotions, then it's likely we will become numb, and even we won't be able to even feel good. One of the beauty about watching Netflix, or for that matter any theater, anything that's gripping, is that we can allow ourselves to experience many emotions. And a person who is alive, who is ready to accept, welcome all emotions, because we are anyway not defined by our emotions, is a Suhridayaha. And that's a very important part of us feeling good, feeling alive, and feeling connected with everyone. Then if one is living such a life, then F is for freedom. There is freedom from raga dvesha. Raga dvesha, ragas are our cravings, and dveshas are our aversions. So things that somehow we manage to divide the world into things I like, things I don't like. So which really means that half of the world is not available for me because of my raga dvesha. Or even for that matter, thoughts that limit us. What a lot of us are seeking is freedom, and we may or may not know it. So we seek freedom from loneliness by having a companion. We seek freedom from homelessness by having a home. We seek freedom from any kind of bondage by trying to have experiences that make us feel expansive and limitless. But of course, no experience can make you limitless, because limitless is your nature, which is to be discovered through Vedanta. G is for giving. Giving generosity is something that we all enjoy, being at the receiving end, but giving also makes us feel really alive. And here is where I want to narrate the incident of a squirrel. So this squirrel was in the way of the Vanaras, these monkey-like humanoids who were helping Bhagavan Rama to build the bridge from the landmass of India to Lanka. And the squirrel was picking up these small pebbles and keeping it where the bridge was being built. So the Vanaras were lifting huge boulders, and when they saw the squirrel, they said, "Get out of our way." And Bhagavan Rama just happened to be there, and he just lifted the squirrel and he patted the squirrel very lovingly, acknowledging the squirrel's contribution. And he tells the Vanaras not to disturb the squirrel, because much like the large boulders are required to build the bridge, there are also the requirement of small pebbles and sand which puts it all together. And so the point is that no one is too small that they cannot contribute, and no one is so big that they cannot receive a contribution. So giving is something that makes us feel good, and it is a subset, a very important part of Dharma. All that I'm sharing with you comes from H equals Hindu. Hinduism, which of course is referred to as Sanatana Dharma, is the world's ancient and living civilization, the most ancient civilization. And what is beautiful about this civilization is the vision and a way of life that comes from the vision. The vision is that all that is here is Ishvara, is Bhagavan, is intelligence, is material, is all that is here is God. And because of that, all forms are interconnected. So it has been a way of life that comes from the vision of oneness of all forms, while seeing the interconnectedness of all forms. And the beauty about this religion and culture is that it promotes a greater sense of interconnectedness amongst everybody, because of a lot of customs, rituals, everyday living that helps us recognize that all that is here is sacred. Which brings me to I equals Ishwara. So a lot of us suffer from trust deficit. From the time the umbilical cord was broken, we were born, our moments of feeling disconnected began. And it kept moving from parents to best friend, to boyfriend, to girlfriend, to partner, to child. You feel connected, and there are moments you feel disconnected. And what is it that pervades all our relationships? What is it that pervades all our situations? What is it that pervades this entire body, mind, sense complex? It is Ishvara. So Ishvara, the intelligence, the material of all forms, is something for us to understand, is the one, when understood, you cannot help but feel good and happy all the time. And of course, if you are able to understand the reality of Ishvara, then you see that you and Ishvara are one, and you will be able to see that the meaning of Tattvamasi, you are that, will be very clear for you. One of the ways in which we appreciate Ishvara is through Japa. Japa is a repetitive action and a worship through a mantra. A mantra which is a sound form of a particular deity, because of which you become someone who is to be reckoned with. You acquire a great level of steadiness in the mind, And that can only come through japa, and that of course can contribute to a lot of focus in your life. But there are a lot of people who may be very pure hearted, but they are not steady. What japa can give you is a steadiness of the mind, where your mind is truly a servant to you. You can be the master, and if you tell your mind sit, the mind will sit. If you say, okay, it's time to imagine, the mind will do that. Then another important thing about dharma and feeling good is K. K is for karma. A lot of us suffer from this question and the effects of the question, why me? Why did this happen to me? Of course, all of us are asking about the pandemic. Why did this happen to all of us? So like that, we go through different stages of life asking the question. If we understand karma, that I have the choice always in every situation, and all my actions have results in the form of visible results and also invisible results, which are also called punya and papa, then I become a hugely responsible person. Karma helps me to resolve different aspects of my life, because I recognize that whatever I am going through is a result of my karma done in the past. And of course, other people's karma that intersect with my karma. And my so-called destiny later is going to be the result of my choices now. And so we become very conscious, very deliberate about how much time, effort, energy we invest in our karma now. Because on a daily basis, our punya papa is fructifying. And when we understand this law of karma, we become a lot more responsible. We become more competent because we are using all the abilities given to us. And we also develop a greater sense of acceptance. So when karma is transformed into karma yoga, a disposition whereby I am able to offer my karma to Bhagavan, and this karma is aligned to dharma, all that is good, bright and beautiful, then it becomes my form of worship. And then just as I receive prasada in a temple, all the results in my life, all the situations that are unfolding on a daily basis, when I see that as prasada, in of course huge forms, then even my attitude towards the results of my actions changes. So karma gets transformed into karma yoga with my competence in performing dharmika actions, and also the acceptance that all that I am receiving is prasada, which just develops a great deal of love for myself, because I see that I am being blessed all the time, and also a great love for other beings. And so L is for love. What shall we say about love? So love is what makes the world go around. And we see that when we are loved, when we are loving, we are happy. You cannot separate love and happiness, or you cannot separate happiness and love. So when you are happy, you will find that you do have love, maybe for A, B, C, D, or for a lot of people. And we're not just talking about romantic love. You know, your care, your support, your contribution to someone else's happiness, to someone else's growth, is a dynamic manifestation of the fullness that you are, which we call love. And it's so beautiful to be in love with so many beings. You know, your love for your parents, love for your children, love for your partner, of course, love for the environment, love for your pets. I know a lot of people, 18-year-olds, who will say, I am a pet mom, so because of their dog or cat. Then love for your friends, love for your work, love for Bhagwan, of course. And if one recognizes that one is Ananda in the light of Vedanta, then you see that you are also love in the dynamic manifestation of how you engage with people. One of the things that also helps us feel good is M for meditation. Now there are types and types and hundreds of meditations, but technically in Hinduism, meditation is Saguna Brahma Vishaya Manasa Vyapara. It's a mental action that is centered on Bhagavan. And this karma that is centered on Bhagavan helps us feel connected. So initially when you sit for meditation, you are the meditator and there is something you are meditating on, and then the culmination of your meditation, again many types, is really the resolution of the meditator and the meditated upon. And a lot of the meditation can help us with the mantra for a certain purification of the mind, steadiness of the mind, and any type of meditation that you do, you must know that most of it comes from Hinduism. And a lot of people nowadays are taking to meditation and discovering the great benefits of it. And all of this meditation helps us to discover the meditator, the one who is free from any action. In other words, the one who is the limitless. N is for names and forms. This world, if we really look at it, you look at any object in front of you, it has a name, it has a form, it has a function. And when we break down what is it that defines it, it will be Satyam existence. You take any object in the world. So this existence on which name and form are as though superimposed. There's lots to be said about it, which we do in our Vedanta classes, but to understand it in a very simple way, what is a wave? A wave is water in a particular form. How about you take away the water? Can the form exist without the form? Can the form exist without water? Can it exist without the name called wave? No. So N is for names and forms, and we can see the beauty of relating to names and forms. That is our world. O is for Om. Om is a sacred sound. It is a sound form for Bhagavan. Now, how can we find one word which can apply in all languages, all dialects? If we would try to reduce it, all languages, all dialects, then in any language, if you open your mouth and try to make a sound, it will be a. In any language, if you try to close your mouth and make a sound, it will be And then U is a letter which stands for all the other forms, sound forms, letters, alphabet, etc. So A, O, Ma, Om. So a word that includes all words, all permutations, all combinations, a word that refers to Bhagavan, Om. How do we know all this, whatever I am saying? Well, because of P, that is Parampara. Parampara is a lineage, it's a tradition, an oral one, and we are blessed to be a part of a rich oral tradition, which also now has a textual aspect to it. So you say, if I ask you which parampara do you belong to, you may or may not know. But if you have done any yogasana, if you have done pranayama, if you have done a mantra, if you have meditated, if you enjoy Ayurvedic food, if you celebrate some of the festivals, then all of this can be traced back to a tradition which you belong to, which everyone belongs to unless they state otherwise. And that is a parampara, a lineage, a sacred tradition, a sacred lineage, which is what we belong to. And it's something that we can be so happy about, because all of us suffer from, not feeling disconnected. I mean, not feeling connected and therefore disconnected, but recognizing where we come from. And your family is just one aspect of it, but the practices that we have, what does it trace its source to? It will be parampara. The beauty of this parampara is that you can ask questions. Q is for questions. And this is a questioning tradition, not a believing tradition. Swami Chinmayananji, our Paramaguru, went to Rishikesh many years ago, and he wanted to expose the fraudulent sadhus. And as it turned out, he got talking to Swami Shivananda and asked him a lot of questions, and what was going to be a one-day interview, journalistic interview, and he was going to go back to Delhi, turned into many days. And he kept asking questions. And Swami Shivananda ji very beautifully told Swami Chinmayananji, young man, you've been asking many questions. When will your questions turn into a quest? Because a quest is something that is more deeper, more enduring. And if you have a quest, then there is likely to be commitment to go all the way until your quest reaches fulfillment. So this is a questioning tradition, and we have to look no further than the Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, to see that a lot of the teachings are presented in the form of dialogues. R is for Rishi. Rishi is the one who sees. Rishiti janati iti rishihi. The one who is a mantra drishta, the ones who were blessed by Bhagavan, the ones to whom knowledge was revealed through mantras. And the rishis did not copyright any mantra. They just gave it out of the generosity of their heart and love to all of humanity. A lot of us can trace back our gotra to which rishi we belong to, and so, the chances of having self-esteem issues are really low when you see, well, I belong to this gotra, this rishi's blood runs in my veins. Or even if you don't belong to this culture, well, if you have been initiated into a mantra or a particular practice, it will trace back to a source, and it's likely to be a rishi. Of course, R is for Ramaha. So the celebration of Dashera today is to celebrate his victory over adharma. And Rama, of course, was an embodiment of Dharma, just in the way in which he led his life, and an inspiration to all of us. S is for Shakti. Lalita Sahasranama, there is a beautiful compound. Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Swarupini. So the one who is in the form of Ichha Shakti, the Shakti to desire, to will, to wish, to want, the Shakti to know, that is Jnana Shakti. So the Shakti to reason, to think, to analyze, to synthesize, to explore, to meditate, and so on, and the Shakti to do all kinds of actions, from walking, singing, running, dancing, talking, writing, etc., etc. So the Shakti that all of us have been given at every moment, there has been no denial of the Shakti given to us in any moment. If at all we feel we are helpless, it is because we are denying ourselves the Shakti that we have already been blessed with. And so it's very, very empowering. What can make you feel better than recognizing the Shakti that you have been blessed with? And the Shakti in this moment has nothing to do with your past. The Shakti in this moment has nothing to do with your gender, to which family you belong to which population you belong to which country you belong to. It's available to you if you want to tap into it. T is for tapas. Now this is not the Spanish tapas. Okay, so tapas, which is a very important part of yama niyama. So niyama particularly, a practice of religious austerity. So tapas is a deliberate denial of comfort. So whether you choose to fast and use that time that you would have otherwise used in cooking to pray, to worship, to chant, or a tapas can be going on a tirtha yatra, you go on a pilgrimage where again there is denial of comfort, or you take on a commitment of chanting an X number of times of a particular mantra over a very long period, which really involves that you have to shift around your schedule a lot to be able to accommodate this particular commitment that you have made. So tapas, which is a religious discipline, helps us to enlarge our comfort zone. So we have lots of ifs and buts. So this is not comfortable, that is not comfortable, etc., etc. I cannot do this, I cannot do that. Well, with some religious discipline, what was earlier uncomfortable becomes comfortable. And as your comfort zone increases, you will find that your comfort zone can extend all the way to the entire world, which really means that you can be happy and comfortable anywhere, anytime, in any place. You don't have to think about, oh, I have to take my pillow with me, or I have to take my special tea, only then I am comfortable. Nothing. Because you stop being defined by the things you have, the situations that you are in, because you have grown so big because of tapas. U is for Upanishad. Upanishad, the last section of the Veda, reveals self-knowledge and reveals that you are Ananda. That not only will you feel good about it, but you will do good because you are Ananda. And really speaking, goodness, fullness is your very nature. And if at all we don't quite see it, it is because we are limiting our Ananda because of our projection on situations and people, and we think that the things and the people and the situations are what gives us happiness. But actually every glimpse of Ananda, every glimpse of our fullness is pointing to the Ananda that one already is. This is the glory of the self-knowledge section of the Veda, which happens to be called the Upanishad. V is for Veda. Veda is revealed knowledge to the different rishis, and Vedanta is a small part of the Veda, in fact the last portion of Veda. Bhagavan Veda Vyasa helped to codify, to collate and gather all these different mantras that were scattered all over and were revealed to different rishis. So we have this fabulous body of knowledge that of course has been revealed by Ishvara and is being transmitted all the way across generations for thousands of years down to us, and therefore it also becomes our responsibility to share what we know in the most responsible way possible. W is for worship. The beauty of Sanatana Dharma is that we can worship in any way we want, in the sense that you can worship with your body, which is your kaya. So that would be a puja, a homa, a yajna, and so on. You can worship with your organ of speech, vak, through the stotras, through these devotional songs and chants and so on. And you can also worship through your mind, manasa, or manasika puja, where you can visualize Devi, Bhagavan Rama, you can visualize yourself garlanding Devi or Rama, any deity really. And we can't even say the sky is the limit, because you can figure it out however you want to honor these deities, you can do that. The more profound meaning of worship is that the sentiment, the bhava with which we do the worship, which may be for a few minutes in a day, the love with which we make our offerings, and the acceptance, the cheerful gladness with which we receive the prasada, that whole sentiment, that whole bhava is not to be limited only to the puja. It can't be that I do 5 minutes puja and then I'm shouting at the whole world. Puja helps me to connect with Bhagavan, and the way in which I offer my actions is something for me to translate to the rest of my day. And therefore we have this very beautiful shloka, Kayena vacha manasendriyerva buddhyatmana va prakrite svabhavat karomi yat yat sakalam parasmai narayanayeti samarpayami. So my surrender, my offering to you, Narayana, what kind of offering is it? Whatever I do, kayena, with my body, or kayena vacha, or through my organ of speech, or manasa indriya, or with my mind and sense organs, kayena vacha manasendriyerva buddhyatmana. So even if I do it with my intellect, with my buddhi, the decisions that I make, whatever I am doing is all because of prakriti, because of this shakti that courses through my body. Karomi yat yat sakalam parasmai. So whatever I do, may you consider it as complete, and whatever I do, I make it as an offering to you. So worship is a very easy way to feel good, and again, like I said, there are so many options. You can do it mentally also, but there is a certain beauty in doing it with your entire body. And of course, the more connected you are to Bhagavan, then your entire life can be worship. So as it is said in one of the stotrams, wherever I walk, I am doing your pradakshina. I'm going around you. Whatever I say is really your glory. Whatever I say is in praise of you. And whatever I think, all my thoughts, they are all pervaded by you. So can you think of a better way to feel good than worship? X is the X factor. Now X factor is not the serial, that TV series. Of course, that refers to something else. It refers to talents. But the X factor in Sanatana Dharma is really our interconnectedness with all forms. It's not something that may be obvious, but maybe because of the pandemic, it is a little more obvious now for us. But that we are all interconnected to each other. And therefore, what affects one affects us. And we can contribute to people's happiness because we are interconnected with each other. We can of course contribute to misery also, but that's something that we don't want to do, right? We try not to do because it doesn't make the other happy, nor does it make us happy. Y is for yoga. So the entire gamut of yoga, which is a very deep word, has many meanings, and we look at Ashtanga Yoga, so which is again a very profound system, starting with Yama Niyama. Asana Pranayama is just one aspect of it, but Yama Niyama are the practice of values, in other words, practice of Dharma. One cannot be partying all night and many nights and living a life where we are hurting another person and then hope to gain the benefit of asana or pranayama. Why? When you are doing your pranayama or you are meditating, then all these thoughts are going to come up in your mind. Or if one is living a life of excess, then it's going to be very difficult to stretch. So these are just facts that are known only through experience. But this bringing together, coming together, yoga is something that has transformed so many people in the world. And just by doing some asanas, some pranayama, you cannot help but feel good. And finally, by this A to Y of all that I have shared about feeling good, doing good, goodness itself, one will definitely have a zest for living, an enthusiasm as to what can I contribute today and to whom. So a certain enthusiasm that comes from feeling alive because one is interconnected with all forms, one is ever connected to Bhagavan, one is perhaps pursuing the pursuit of Vedanta, which is all the way helping us to see that we are pure being having a human experience. So there is no scope for lethargy, for inertia, for I don't feel good about it. I'm not going to do this because I don't feel good, because feeling good is doing good. Doing good is Dharma. Dharma is Sanatana, and Sanatana Dharma lives in our hearts. And it doesn't only live in our hearts, it lives in our lives by our actions, by our thoughts, by our contributions. So with these words, I wish everyone a happy Dashera, a great glorious victory of Dharma over Adharma, of feeling good by doing good, a victory of goodness itself, which is you. Om Tat Sat.